Yo, what's happening, people? Okay, so I have not done a serious Sunday for a long time, for a good minute, right? And I figured, you know what? Let me just do a serious Sunday video. Let me sit in my car on the passenger side and, turn my camera on and ramble for however long this video takes. But yeah, I want to do a serious Sunday video, and as is somewhat of a tradition, when I do serious Sundays videos, I don't typically do them on Sundays. It is what it is. It's Saturday today. But anyway, there is sun out though, so it is a sun day. So there is that. But yeah, I want to talk about Kim Kardashian getting backlash for the comments she made. So real quick, for those who might not know, Kim Kardashian and the Kardashian crew were, I guess, doing a promotional thing for a reality show, something or other, and they were talking about what to expect and their show and their previous show and this, that, and the other, and eventually got on to advice for women in business. To which Kim Kardashian said, she said, I have the best advice for women in business, which is to get your fucking ass up and work. And then she went on to say that she feels that, or it seems to her that not a lot of people want to put in the work, and, you don't get anywhere if you're not willing to, do the effort, and results come from hard work and stuff along those lines. I might be paraphrasing just a little bit, but it was along those lines. And she got a lot of backlash for this. A lot of people posting videos about how it was tone deaf and how she's super privileged, and she didn't consider that not everybody who works hard gets the same opportunities and things like that. And I want to talk about that because it's kind of interesting to me that when people say things, some people get backlash for it and some people don't, and they're pretty much saying the same thing. Like about a month or so ago, Molly May said something along those lines about everybody having the same 24 hours as Beyonce, and she got a lot of backlash for that same sort of thing about her being privileged, and she's not considering certain things and that sort of stuff. But then we go on like any kind of business guru or motivation motivational speaker, or even like The Rock, people like who generally talk about a lot being positive and stuff like that. They say the same sorts of things like all the time. The Rock is always talking about being the hardest worker in the room and that sort of stuff, and he never gets any backlash for that. I'm not suggesting he does, by the way, let me be clear on that, but I'm just saying, like, it's interesting to me while some people get backlash and some people don't. I kind of wonder why that is. And I know people talk about like privilege and that everybody has the same opportunities, which is true. We don't all have the same opportunities, and you could be somebody who is putting in a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of energy into something and not getting very far with it because the opportunities that aren't coming your way, and people are overlooking you. I get it, that does happen. I'm not trying to suggest that it doesn't, but ultimately, whatever your situation is, you either do the work or you complain, and when you complain, you remain. So I feel like what they're saying, it's not wrong. Like if you have a goal, or if you have something that you're trying to achieve, regardless of where you are in this world, regardless of your situation, regardless of your privilege or lack thereof, if you're not willing to put in the work, it's never going to happen. And it's a shame that the way our world is and the way the society is that there are lots of people who are putting in lots of hard work and not always getting anywhere with it. But what's the alternative? You don't do the work. So they're not saying anything wrong. It's true regardless of your situation. So it's just fascinating to me that why do they get backlash and other people don't? And my first thought was that maybe it's something to do with where people start. Maybe it's because some people start at the bottom and they work their way up to the top, so they know what they're talking about. And maybe other people don't start at the bottom and they have like a rich daddy or something like that, so it's different for them. And maybe that's part of it, but I don't know if that's completely true, because a lot of times people don't really start right at the bottom. Whether they have not necessarily a rich daddy, but they might have contacts, they might know somebody, or things like that, stuff that you don't always hear about, but it may be that they have a friend somewhere or an uncle somewhere, a cousin, something like that. So not everybody that you see, talking about working, being self-made millionaires and things like that, they're not all starting at the bottom, but they don't get backlash, and ultimately it's like, what do you want people to say? Like, because they didn't start at the bottom, they're not supposed to promote hard work? What do you want Kim Kardashian to say? Like, if she's asked about giving advice for women in business, is she supposed to say, suck some guy's dick and videotape it and hope for the best? Like, what exactly is she supposed to say? It just seems like putting people in a position where there's no right answer. If she says the right right thing to put in work, it's gonna be, she gets backlash for it. You don't get to say that. Like, why do some people not get to say things? Because for me, I feel like it shouldn't matter what your status is. Like, it shouldn't matter whether you're up here or down there, or if you're privileged or not. That shouldn't matter. If you're giving advice to somebody, good advice is good advice, regardless of where it comes from. That should not matter. And there's a Will Smith quote where he was talking about when somebody's talking to you, when somebody's giving you advice or telling you something, they may say it in a way that you don't like, but the thing that they're saying to you, if the thing that they're saying to you is still true and correct, it's still on you to take that on board. It may not come to you in a way that you like, or in this case, from a person that you like, or a person in a position that you don't like. But ultimately, is the advice valid? Do you need to get up and work? That may be the case. And look, I get it. Like I said before, like, you may be one of those people who are putting lots of work and not really getting anywhere with it, and that's unfortunate. But does that make the advice invalid? It just means that you're in a situation that is unfortunate. It doesn't mean that advice is wrong. Kim Kardashian can't give advice for every single person's situation in one go. It's just going to be generic advice that's going to apply to most people in some form of fashion, that if you're not putting the work, then you should be, and you go from there, right? It just seems to me a silly thing to be mad at somebody over, that they gave good advice, because when they were given that good advice, your very specific situation didn't come up in that advice. It just seems weird to me. Why do some people get backlash and other people don't? What is it? What is the difference between Kim Kardashian and The Rock, or Molly May and Simon Sinek, or I don't know, whoever? You know what I mean? Like, what's the difference? When you go on Instagram, like, how many people just post endless memes about working hard or working smart or get up and work, or seize the day, stuff like that? And they're not all from people who started at the bottom. They're not all from people who had to scratch and claw and this, that, and the other. But we're fine with that, but not from the, it just doesn't make sense to me. But here's the thing, though, like I said, I get it. It's an unfortunate situation where, there are people who are doing the best they can and not getting to where Kim Kardashian is. But I feel like part of that is twofold. Is that, one is that there's this whole thing about opportunities and privilege, and just how unfair society can be at times. But then the other side of it is, we don't all have the same goals. And also, maybe Freefall, actually. I can't count, but hey. Another side of it is that our idea of success and how we view success and what we call success is often based on this idea of having wealth, money and fame and, glitz and glamour and fancy cars and, that sort of stuff, right? But we often don't consider that success is a subjective term. It's going to mean different things to different people. we take on, well, we effectively take on somebody else's idea of success and work towards that. How many of us are, consider ourselves unsuccessful because we don't have something that growing up our parents told us that we should have? But then when we really kind of sit down and think about those things, is that, are they the things that we actually want for ourselves? How many of us are out here working towards a goal that was never really ours to begin with? It's just because we have this idea of what success is. Success is having money. Success is being rich. Success is this and the other, this, that, and the third. What we should be doing, at least what I believe we should be doing, is creating our own ideas of success. And, because not everybody's chasing fame and money and this. In fact, I saw a video by Playback. I want to say Playback, big up Playback. These two guys, they do like reactions to videos and stuff. And one of the videos they put up was a lady talking about not dreaming of labor. In fact, that's kind of a thing that's been around a while. It's not even a new thing. But she was talking about she doesn't dream of labor, and effectively just saying that she felt from a long time that this idea of having like a fancy car, it just wasn't for her, and she just does not desire that kind of thing. And it's fine. I think that once you can find that within yourself, that we're not all chasing this thing. So the idea that, yeah, people work hard but they're not where Kim Kardashian is, my guess would be that a lot of us aren't really trying to be where Kim Kardashian is. We may think we are, because we've bought into this idea of what success is, and success looks like what Kim Kardashian has. But the truth is, we're not really chasing that. And perhaps the reason why we're not there is because as much as we try to convince ourselves it's what we want, we know deep down it's not what we want. So yeah, the world sees us working hard and not getting anywhere. But deep down, I mean, if you really be honest with yourself, how many of us are really chasing that? I'm not saying you mustn't, by the way. Of course, if you want to be famous or rich, you do you. I'm just saying, how many of us are really chasing that? If we're being honest with ourselves, right? We're just kind of going through the motions because it's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, get up early and work at a job and save your money and work another job and do a side hustle and you're supposed to do that, right? And don't get me wrong, I there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, I think we all kind of do that to some degree just kind of anyway. But you know what I mean? We kind of buy into this idea of what working hard is and what success is and what achieving success is. When if we really kind of dial it back, what we really want, or I think what anybody really wants, is happiness and just contentment with himself. And that doesn't come from chasing somebody else's idea of what you should be, or what success should look like for you. And I think that comes from, or at least partly comes from, defining your own idea of success and what is important to you and what happiness looks like to you, and doing the things that keep that in your life and finding ways to make that sustainable. And that's not to say that just makes everything easy. I mean, we're all going to have our hardships and we're all going to have our struggles and we're all going to go through things. But whatever it is that you are trying to do, or whatever it is that you define, as your idea of happiness and success, working towards that is something that is on you to do. And if you're not already doing it, then you just have to get up and do it. Either that or be miserable and complain. Regardless of your situation, that's what it is going to come down to. You either make the effort to improve your life in the best way you can towards your own idea of happiness and success, or you don't, and nothing happens, unless of course you get extremely lucky, right? There's always that one person that just everything happened for them without having to do anything. But most of us have to at least put in some effort towards the life that we're trying to create for ourselves. So if you're not getting your ass up and working towards that, perhaps you should be. Because end of the day, we all have the same 24 hours as Beyonce. And it's what you do with it that counts. And yeah, we don't have the same opportunities as Beyonce. We don't have the same privileges as Kim Kardashian or whoever else, but we do have what we have. And we can do the best with what we have. So yeah, do the best with what you have. And however that looks like, that's success. But anyway, yeah, that's me rambling for a little bit. Let me know what you think. Drop any suggestions, recommendations in the comments. Send them through and I'll see what I can do. Like, share, subscribe, because we're doing this thing. You get me, fam? Got more videos on the screen. Check out my other channels as well. In fact, I just started a podcast. If you're into like geeky stuff, movies, video games, like, and not just movies and video games, but conversations, like good conversations about movies and video games, because that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. Just create some good conversations. Talk about this stuff like how it should be talked about, like that artistic endeavors that they are. If that sounds interesting to you, and check out my podcast. It's a new podcast. It's like 2 episodes up already. But yeah, let me know what you think of it. Let me think, and we could kind of grow from there. But yeah, anyway, that's it for now. So guys, until whenever, if ever, peace.